What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Alan Wake Remaster. I've played it. I've played roughly at the time you guys are seeing this video, I'd say around 4 or so hours. I'm at the very end of episode 3, so I'm right at, I'd say, the halfway point of the game. And while I haven't beaten this version, I did play and beat the version back when the game originally came out. And I think, for a game like this, a remaster, I just kind of want to talk about if it's worth it. I think I've played enough to understand, if it is, like, the remaster part, you know what I mean? Again, ultimately, for the full game experience, you'd have to go, whether you've played the game at one point or another. So, this is something I covered quite a bit leading into it. I talked about, why I'm going to buy this game, and I stand by a lot of the stuff I said. Alan Wake is a phenomenal game. So, if you have not yet played it, this is your time, okay? $30 for the base game, which is around, see, it's going to take me around, I'd say, like 8 or 9, but I'm not really, like, spending too much time doing exploration and finding canisters and stuff like that. It will probably take you around 10 or so hours, and then you got 2 DLCs. So you get and the DLCs are about an hour or so each. So you get 10 to 12 hours. You get to experience, for my approximation, an insanely good, at the time, Xbox exclusive. Just an incredible game that's very different. Like, we don't get a lot of games like this. And obviously, like Control, you really see how they've basically evolved over time with all of their games since Alan Wake. I think a lot of the foundation was really built here. So, in terms of the game itself, it's a great game. It really is. It is, it may come across maybe a little, off-putting, maybe is the word. And I don't say that in a hugely negative way right now, because the running is pretty odd. The dodging is odd. There's some gameplay segments, okay, in this game that is just absolutely atrocious. Somewhere you have to rely on others. I won't say the exact spot, but you have to rely on somebody else to kill the enemies for you. You have to, vanquish the darkness from them. And if you get caught basically in a corner, there's no way out of it. There's some pretty bad. So basically what I'm saying is I don't think it's all aged spectacularly, but I do think overall the story, the voice acting, I think, is actually pretty good. It starts off maybe a little that he's reading a book. It feels like he's reading a story, which is kind of the point. It comes across maybe a little bad in the beginning, but once you kind of get used to it, I think it's completely fine. And the story is extremely good, extremely weird. The game is a lot scarier than I remember, or I knew back then. I remember I've told this story. I rented this game like 6 or 5 different times with my friend, and we would play it at his house like once a week. We'd play like through an episode, and we were afraid to go outside. I mean, I remember it was a terrifying game. I remember that I was just scared of the dark because I played that game, during those nights. Since then, as I've grown up, 10 plus years later, going into it, I was like, I'm probably not, it's not even going to be that bad. It actually is, like, kind of, there's some tense moments, there's some fear, there's some jump in, so it's, specifically around like a Halloween time, this is I would say a pretty good game. It's not the scariest game. We're not talking Outlast. We're not talking PT, but it's a game that's a little scary from time to time. Now, in terms of the remaster, so really the first 3.5 minutes was me just telling you about the game in case you didn't know. Again, if you haven't played the game ever and you think you'd be interested or you trust my opinion, I do think the base gameplay mechanics have held together pretty well, like blinding and then shooting. I think they work fine. I really don't mind them. I love the story. I love the characters. So I think, all that stuff. And then $30, I think it's worth it. If you're not interested, maybe Far Cry catches your attention and you can only pick one. Obviously, that's up to you. But, I personally chose Alan Wake over Far Cry. So you have all that. In terms of a remaster, I tweeted this last night. Like, it very much is just a remaster. And that's a big stretch. That word. Now, I saw that, yesterday or the day before, whenever the reviews for this game came out, a lot of the stuff I saw was not very positive. It was pretty much what I'm saying right now. The base game is exactly how you remember it. It's great. If you haven't played it yet, play it. Or if you want to replay it, obviously it's cheaper now, you can do it. But maybe if you have if you played it once, you played it maybe 2 or 3 times, maybe this isn't for you because it's not a very good remaster. I saw that kind of across the boards in reviews, and obviously I don't care about reviews and I don't believe anything game journalists have to say because a lot of them I just don't like. However, what I will say is, yeah, the game is not a very good remaster. Maybe it's just because we've been spoiled with remakes that we don't exactly remember what a remaster was. I wouldn't be able to tell you from memory. I'm sure if you put them side by side, which I'm sure IGN has done or something like that, right? I'm sure you can tell the improvements. I'm sure the loading's better. I'm sure the facial animations are somewhat better. I'm sure the lighting, I'm sure textures, I'm sure there are actual improvements. But if you're playing it, and I don't know how many people are like me, I assume it's very, very little because I'm quite an odd person. But again, like I played this game back when it came out, and I haven't really touched it, thought about it too much since then. You know, I've played Control, but I haven't, so going into it now, I couldn't tell you what is a massive improvement now versus the original version. Does that make sense, right? If you're just going in, you're saying, yeah, you know what? I played the game, 10, 11 years ago. Maybe I'll play it now. So maybe, again, like, it's like me, right? I don't think you'd be able to play it and say, oh my God, like, they massively overhauled X thing or Y thing in the game. I don't think you'd be able to say that. And again, like, do you expect to say that for a remaster? That's the question. Now, you could argue, like, well, Alex, if it's not a good remaster, then it's kind of just a port, which kind of defeats the purpose, right? You're literally just porting it over. You could argue, and by the way, I'm playing on the PS5. I'm not even playing it, on PS4. You get the PS4 version when you buy the PS5 version, but I'm playing it on PS5. So, maybe there's things that were even more improved on the PS5 versus the PS4. But, again, like that's, I can't, I'm not Digital Foundry. I'm not going to break down the frames per second, all of this stuff that I just have no idea how to do that stuff. I can just tell you, my again, just flat out opinion. I don't think it's a much of an improvement at all. I was kind of surprised because it does, like, you look at it and you say, wow, like, this is a game that's old. You do. You look at it and you say, oh my God, the faces, Alan Wake, his wife, like, their faces, they don't look good. They just don't. At least for right now's time. Maybe back then, yet again, back then we were having games like, well, you know what? No, like Uncharted, but Uncharted had like you couldn't see wrinkles, you couldn't see facial expression. So maybe I would say it was fine at the time. I don't even really remember. But right now, it hasn't, I think, aged all that well visually. And I don't think they did all that much to kind of enhance it. So take that for what you will. I honestly, again, what I said 2-3 weeks ago is the exact same thing I said now. I looked at this as a way to replay a game that I've played one time, and I played back when it first came out with my childhood friend, with my my best friend, and I haven't played it since. And I haven't really thought about it all that much since. And I looked at this as $30, so half price, to play a game that was full price, and just to kind of experience it again, and experience a game that I know at its core is very good. That I do like the characters. I love the mystery. I love how confusing it is. Some games but really, like there's BioShock, like that's a level of confusing. Alan Wake, Remedy makes just some very confusing stuff, which, maybe that's something that, makes you say, no, you know what, I don't want to deal with it, because if I can't understand what the heck's going on, which I don't think you would understand what's going on, maybe you don't like that. And I don't blame you, but it's just that's the kind of game it is. And that, it kind of draws me to it. So I was like, you know what, this is a perfect opportunity. Again, it was kind of between this and Far Cry, which is getting okay stuff, back and forth stuff of if it's actually an improvement or not. So I just, I went for it. And again, it was cheap, so I just decided to get it. So that was my impression. I'm going to play it all the way through. Again, I'm like halfway done. Should finish it, today or tomorrow. I'll do the DLCs. I don't think I've ever played the DLCs, so that'll be kind of a new experience for me as well. So I like it. Just kind of wanted to give you guys my impressions. Not really a good remaster. Yet again, depends on where your standards are for remasters, but it is an incredibly good game. It always has been, when it came out, and still today. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, so all these videos go up. If you want me to cover anything else Alan Wake, I don't really know if there's anything else to cover, but if you want me to, definitely, let me know in the comments. I can take a look at it. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my second channel or support us on Patreon or YouTube memberships, links for all of them are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.